Welcome everybody to the Tyler Werner Show as Super Bowl 50 is upon us. Super Bowl L, as many would call it. And my oh my, we got quite an interesting game ahead of us. Definitely some interesting storylines heading in to Super Bowl 50. You know, coming off of obviously an interesting, I guess totally forgetting about the Pro Bowl. An interesting NFC and AFC championship weekend. Obviously for those up here in the Pennsylvania area and surrounding regions, of course, like myself, of course, we got hit hard with about a 2.5-foot blizzard, at least in my specific area. Pretty fairly close to the bullseye.
Oh my God!
And it made for more incentive on that Sunday after the blizzard to essentially, stay snowed in, not go anywhere, and watch some conference championship football in the NFL. And of course, my prediction of the New England Patriots beating the Denver Broncos did not work out. And that was, unless I get my Super Bowl prediction wrong, that will be my one blemish all playoff season long as far as picking this week. Or, I guess, picking this year's playoff picks, I should say. After a 4-0 wild card week, picking all the road teams, and then a 4-0 divisional round, picking all the home teams to win, which certainly happened. So I guess as we get through here into the Super Bowl prediction, just to set the stage a little bit. Of course, I had New England. I mean, it was kind of a revenge situation game, and just one of those things. Brady had back Julian Edelman. But, of course, one thing he didn't really have was, I guess, a capable offensive line. And Brady was getting smacked around pretty much all game long. He didn't have time. And, credit to the Denver Broncos defense. They're stacked. And what did they do? They gave Brady fits. Nobody could run the ball this game. And, of course, Brady and Peyton Manning for both of their teams, in fact, had the longest runs of the whole game for their respective teams. So that was beyond me. But nevertheless, this was a passing game, essentially, for both. But the story more so, it was more, without question, to me, Tom Brady versus the Denver defense. To be fair, wasn't. I know this was Brady versus Manning 17, maybe it is, whatever it was, but with all. And I'm not, speaking any breaking news here or anything. No news flashes or whatnot. This Denver defense is for real, and certainly it showed against a depleted offensive line, surely enough, the very next day Bill Belichick fired the offensive line coach.
This is the end of this subject for me for a long time.
So but anyhow, that is what it is. Peyton Manning, again, he wasn't asked to. Denver, they pretty much controlled the game where they needed to. The defense, they didn't really run the ball effectively, but that defense certainly gave Tom Brady some fits. And while Brady, a little later in the game, coming alive, converting some fourth downs. How many fourth downs? Do you want them to convert, and I mean, it came down to a 2-point conversion, and surely enough, the Patriots unable to get the 2-point conversion that essentially ended the game and put a wrap on the season. For the New England Patriots, obviously. And, people, obviously there's a barrage of questions thrown Bill Belichick's way. Even just going back to, like, the Miami Dolphins game, where had they won that, they would have been 13-3 essentially, had home field advantage, which brings the other question, you would have been at home. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on that? And, yada, yada. And, to the chagrin, of course, of Bill Belichick. But, essentially, the story of this Denver Broncos, I mean, it's great that Peyton Manning's, but he wasn't asked to really, wasn't really put in a position where he's got to lead the field down, or he's got to lead the team down the field in crunch time. Now, Peyton Manning, he played a decent enough game. But again, he wasn't asked to do as much as he may have to do against this Carolina Panthers team. Now, and again, I mean, speaking of the Carolina Panthers team, let's just say I'm happy I had a change of, obviously for those who listen to the preview, my predictions for the NFC and AFC championship game. I was feeling Arizona. I was on that Arizona train, and then I just thought, no, I mean, Carolina. I think this is, a year here for Cam Newton. I mean, his MVP season and whatnot. And, just being, and it just showed in this game against the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm glad I went the Panthers route. I shifted my pick to them. And surely enough, Carolina demolished the Arizona Cardinals. I didn't see that coming. All right, I don't think anybody saw demolishing like that coming. I mean, interception, turnovers. I mean, this Carolina Panthers defense, they make plays. They have playmakers. I mean, obviously starting with Luke Kuechly at linebacker, and then they got Thomas Davis, who, apparently broke his arm in that game, and
I think I just broke my leg.
Not his leg, but his arm, but nevertheless, where is him and Jared Allen? They're most likely to play in this game. So, I mean, this Panthers team, they're for real. I mean, they got, obviously on defense, I'll say it once again, for the past 5 years, or, since having Sean McDermott as defensive coordinator, this defense has been pretty elite last 5 years. But no, Sean McDermott does not get called for an interview for the Philadelphia Eagles.
You got to open your heart.
Yeah, say you. I mean, practice what you preach there, maybe. But anyhow, this defense, what? I mean, obviously Denver's got one of the best defenses in the league, and here in Carolina is quite up to par as well. So this is a season where it's like, this is one of those seasons where defense wins championships obviously comes to mind. And I look at this Super Bowl, and you would think it's going to be sort of low scoring. These defenses, make some plays and this and that. I mean, if you want to X and O it, or if I want to X and O it, say, both defenses, they'll probably make some plays. Ultimately, I feel as though it'll come down to me, quarterback play. And, with all due respect, to Peyton Manning, and
Epic comeback starts right here.
maybe, obviously, a big story may very well be his last game in the NFL of his career. He said, of course, it was quoted that when Peyton Manning went to shake hands with Bill Belichick, now what exactly Peyton Manning meant by this, I don't, there's a different meaning or two that can be taken from it, but essentially Peyton Manning said, hey, if this is, this might be my last rodeo, or whatever. That's how he worded it.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah. If this is my last, or he said this is, this was probably my last rodeo or something. It's been a pleasure, or whatever. So, all signs are pointing towards a Peyton Manning retirement here. I don't know.
Chicken parm tastes so good.
Yeah, certainly he's got a few. I mean, whether or not he becomes an owner or this or that, obviously, very much, Peyton Manning is, he's a Hall of Famer. Obviously, has several NFL all-time records, passing records, obviously. But at this point, again, I hinted at several minutes ago, when needed, is he going to be able at this point to lead the team down the field, make, beyond intermediate throws? And I don't think he can do that at this point. Not to mention, you go over to the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton. He, obviously, for one thing, he was making plays with his legs left and right against the Arizona Cardinals game, and obviously that dimension can definitely, contribute to wearing out the defense a little bit, being able to make plays. When, for instance, a quarterback like Peyton, might have to throw the ball away or is going to get hit or whatever, you got that. But then Cam Newton, on the other hand, he can extend the play with his legs, get out of the pocket, make a move more so, and, Now, although Peyton Manning did do a little bit of that to the best of his ability against the Patriots defense, which is decent, a fairly young defensive core that is probably on the upswing heading into the next season. But like I said, this Panthers defense is elite. They're just, they're pretty much in the same class as the Denver Broncos defense is. But again, the difference here, Cam Newton, again, he's having an MVP season. And that it just, what else can you say about that? Again, he's just like the way some of the plays he goes and he gets the first down with his legs and diving plays and just, like a starship. And I don't, however you want to put it, the guy makes plays, and he can do that with his legs running or on the move and throwing, yada yada. And I think that's the key difference here. It'd be cool to see Peyton Manning win this Super Bowl, go out with a Super Bowl, his second Super Bowl ring. But I don't think that, unless Denver has a field day on defense, which, I mean, again, I think it'll be a low-scoring game. But, I think it's a case of anything, the Denver Broncos defense does, the Panthers defense can do just as well. They've done it pretty consistently the past few years. So I think it's, a split there. I think that's how it'll be. As far as the running games go, Broncos, they were ineffective for against the Patriots defense. I don't see the Broncos having a field day on the ground. Now, having said that they're playing the Carolina Panthers defense. A little more ferocious than the Patriots defense. So that's where I pretty much, again, Denver, yeah, they have some playmakers at receiver, no doubt. But as far as getting the ball to them, there's, Cam Newton's, he's firing on all cylinders this season. Not to mention, all right, we go to some of the intangibles. All right, Denver, they're the underdog. Fairly unanimously, they're considered the underdog in this game. Obviously, this team, maybe Peyton Manning's last hurrah here, and obviously the comeback of Peyton Manning. In some regards, I can definitely see that as like an intangible. The team kind of rallying around him.
Epic comeback starts right here.
Yeah, that kind of thing. As far as for the Carolina Panthers, again, there's people. The whole Cam Newton story obviously has been a big thing. His celebrations consistently and after plays, and as long as they're not I don't know what, obscene or I don't know, just too over the top. I've watched him play, and I haven't seen anything. So what? He celebrates. That's part of his personality. I don't have a huge problem with it. Some people do. I don't know. Some people are in that boat where they just say, enough already.
I've seen it enough.
I don't have a major problem with it, because especially when Cam Newton, he backs it up, he's the MVP. If you're Johnny Manziel out there or something like that, and then getting hammered, a few days later, and your team is, the dumpster fire that it is in the AFC and pretty much has been for quite some time now, that's a different story. When you're MVP, you can get away. To me, you can get away with that. And not have a problem with me. I can't speak for everybody, but that's where I look at that. Now, when it's fourth quarter, you're up 5 touchdowns or whatever, maybe it's not so necessary, obviously. And there's less incentive to really, want to sell it. But some of these plays that Cam Newton against the Cardinals, when he was, scrambling out, and he scrambles the first down, he makes a great play. Kind of dives forward with the ball, gets the first down, and he kind of celebrates that, kind of like a goofy, I don't know. That's fine to me. You just made a pretty solid play. It's just like when somebody, gets a big 10-yard sack or something, and they get fired up about it. That's a big, fans feel that. I like when Fletcher Cox makes a big 10-yard sack or something. You feel, and it's a crucial point in the game or whatever. As a fan, you get fired up yourself, just like I'm sure he would making the play. So I feel like the same applies here with Cam Newton. He makes a good play and he can be fired up like that. Some guys are a little less expressive in that way. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna have a huge, problem with that. Now, of course, Cam Newton has, been kind of berated with a lot of different questions, with like racial issues and his demeanor and this and that. And I feel as though that's going to be another, I feel like Cam Newton, he's got more motivation there in that regard. The media maybe firing him up, up a little bit and, butting a little bit of heads on media day and this and that. And so I feel as though that can be a bit of a, something in favor of, Cam Newton. I'm sure he's going to be motivated in this game. So, live up to that MVP hype, I guess. So that's where I stand, obviously, in this game. I could see I don't know, I could see a touchdown win here by Carolina, like a 24-17, or it should be a decent game. I don't think we're going to see a blowout or anything here. I don't know if it's going to live up to, maybe the way last year's Super Bowl.
To me, those balls are perfect.
Yeah, that was a tough one to top. But it should be interesting. Probably Peyton Manning's last hurrah. Cam Newton, MVP, up and comer, entering his prime here. This regime, has kind of built itself up, and here they are in the Super Bowl after a 15-1 regular season. I mean, pretty good stuff. I think we're looking forward to it. As far as commercials, I mean, they are what they are. Lady Gaga is doing the national anthem, I guess, and
go ahead, make my day.
Not really a Lady Gaga fan, but Coldplay doing the halftime show. I took some last year. I remember I took a little criticism from a Cowboys fan, of all people, who of course lives in the Philadelphia area region, but for some odd reason they're a Cowboys fan. I got some I got a little heat, I remember, because I said, because obviously last year it was Katy Perry doing the halftime show, and I said, all right, it's time to, me personally, it's time for like some Foo Fighters or Pearl Jam, one legendary bands here to, I think, carry the tone a little more through halftime. And that's just me. That's just me. Who owns several, plays several different instruments, and that are seen in rock bands and whatnot. And so, I understand not everybody does, but that's just me personally. I mean, lately, obviously, recent years, it's been more pop acts, and I don't need to, I guess, talk ad nauseum about it. But, and again, I mean, I mentioned too, I mean, this is in like Metallica's turf, so I mean, it would have made perfect sense, a legendary band like them, and to play at the Super Bowl 50. But the NFL higher ups, they went with Coldplay, and I don't have a huge problem with that at all. I think it'll be a all right halftime show. I mean, they don't have a heavy sound. That's fine. They don't need to have a heavy sound, but nevertheless, I think I think it's it's a little more of a band thing, which I like. A little more focus on the playing, maybe, and the Coldplay sound. Because I'm not a huge, Coldplay. They're not a band that I would like, that I'm looking to get tickets for this upcoming tour that they got this year or whatever. But here and there they have some, they've come out with some decent songs. I think that I'll listen to. If I had to, like, an ideal set for Coldplay, obviously Clocks was one of their early major hits over a decade ago. That would be a good, Clocks. Speed of Sound, I think, came out on their next album a few years later. Those two, and then, like, I don't know if they're playing like 3 songs, for instance. Maybe When I Ruled the World, could very well see that being in the mix there for 3. I don't like. They're kind of upbeat. They're kind of intriguing, and I think those would work. There's the one, I forget what it's called. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I've heard some have used it as like a wedding song. It's kind of a slow pace. Like, to me, I mean, whether you really like it or not, again, that's one of those things, like, I feel like Super Bowl music, a little more upbeat, maybe carry the tone between these two monster defenses smacking, one another around, and and again, which kind of, has Metallica written all over it, but they didn't go, obviously the NFL didn't go there. Maybe one of these years they could go, but so it's kind of back to rock a little bit, at least this year with the halftime show, although I don't know, with not quite the tenacity, I guess, or the I guess the crunch, maybe. And again, me personally, I think that's, there's a place for, I don't know, for the different styles of music. I mean, it's like watching movies. And when, like movie composers and they, using soft piano music and whatnot doesn't necessarily work when, you got guns a-blazing and things blowing up and whatnot. It just kind of doesn't carry the, I guess, the tone of what's going on. That's my thought. That, and I'm just not a big fan of, to me, what is generic pop music, and how so many people could, there could have been many, many Justin Biebers out there, ladies and gentlemen, that could have, I don't know. But Coldplay, to be fair, they have kind of a unique sound, creating their own music and everything, and so Coldplay, on the other hand, they're not necessarily, give some credit to them, they're not necessarily, I guess, kind of replaceable. In the pop industry, I think it's a totally different ball game. But that's just me. Just like, Foo Fighters, there's only one. Obviously, there could only have ever been one Led Zeppelin. Put it that way. Pearl Jam. There could only ever have been one. That unique thing to it, I guess. But anyways, that's my preview for Super Bowl 50. Super Bowl L, if you want to go, Roman numerals there for 50 and not for loser or something like that. I don't know.
Loser! You're a loser!
Although I do think that the Denver Broncos will be the losers here. But not in that regard, obviously, but that they will not be victorious and that the Carolina Panthers will win their first Super Bowl. Cam Newton gets his first ring. Peyton Manning retires after this. But goes out definitely with, obviously, in some regards, the, top 3 maybe quarterback careers of all time. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a big off season coming up ahead for the Philadelphia Eagles, as Doug Peterson starting to get settled in a little bit as the new head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, making some moves. We'll talk about them after this Super Bowl comes and goes, and as we start to look forward to the 2016 NFL season. So stay tuned right here on the Tyler Werner Show. Thanks as always, and of course we'll also start shifting into the Flyers playoff race a little more as well, and other things going forward.
Number 1 box office attraction, number 1 WWE superstar, multi-time WWE champion, Brock Lesnar.
Time to revamp your office space, eh? Looking for an interior decorator? Look no further than Brock Lesnar.
Now that's the way a real man uses a sledgehammer.
Out with the old, in with the new. Give Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman a call.
Mr. Lesnar, you're the future of interior decorator. I think we're done.
The champion of game day catering is the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show, Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs.
We prepare our balls over time, and that's the essence of the preparation.
On top of that, another trademark of Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs is Brady's signature rubbing process.
When I pick balls out, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them. To me, those balls are perfect.
What is a concern is the texture of the balls, and again, that's the point that Tom hit on hard.
The champion of all game day catering dishes is Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs, the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting. The word customer begins with CU. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.